Welcome to BitBoy Crypto. My name is Ben. Today, on the 1-year anniversary of the Celsius bankruptcy, we are going to break down what the latest is regarding Alex Mashinsky, his arrest, some stuff I was sent right before the arrest, which is very interesting. We'll get into all of that. So, I guess to start off here, people from Celsius still screwed, still don't have their money. Everybody's fighting over all this stuff in the bankruptcy, and the retail customers, the ones who put the money in, are the ones who continue to be left in last place here. So finally, after over a year, we finally have the arrest of Alex Mashinsky. And I think a lot of people have been waiting for this, and Alex just seemed to think it wasn't going to happen. But, I mean, there are some issues here. Now, look, XRP just had a great day. Ripple defeated the SEC. Absolutely phenomenal. The SEC's credibility is really hurt here, okay? But now, going after Alex Mashinsky from the SEC, do they have what it takes to push over the finish line? Or are they going to, want to get revenge after the Ripple case, and they're going to go after Alex, as hard as they can go after him? We'll see. So what happens is that the SEC files a case against Alex Mashinsky. 7 counts of, things ranging from fraud to commodities violations and everything in between. So they said that he sold $42 million worth of Cell token. Cell, it was in the name. That's a good joke. But the point is he sold $42 million worth of Cell token. And it is a little complicated because you can obviously be selling a token if it's your compensation and, still be long on the token. That's kind of the argument that they try to make against Brad Garlinghouse. He said he was long on XRP, but he sold some. It's like, well, sometimes you have to sell some. But I don't know, for $42 million worth, that might be a little excessive. So what happens is he goes into court yesterday, no handcuffs, just a gray polo, goes into court and pleads not guilty. Of course, he's going to continue to plead not guilty throughout all this. And, there is a bit of sympathy for me to Alex. And it just goes from the perspective of, true, you were negligent, no question about it. You got to take responsibility for that. At minimum, negligent. But, at the same time, all this happened because of Sam Bankman-Fried. Like, all this happened because of SBM. If FTX doesn't exist, I don't know, is Celsius still standing? It's hard to say. FTX had a vendetta against Alex from when Alex started pulling the tethers off of FTX on behalf of Celsius, because he went down there in January and saw it was a mess ran by a bunch of kids on beanbags, and he was so mortified that he went back and they immediately started trying to figure out how to unwind with FTX. That's what leads the personal vendetta of Sam versus Alex, and just like you did with Terra Luna, just like you did with Alex, just like you did with Voyager, BlockFi, Sam destroyed everything. So when I say there's a shred, there's a little shred. Certainly doesn't absolve him of any of his problems. And, in the game of business, though, there's a lot of fake it till you make it. There's a lot of fake it till you make it out there. And, if you make it, well, you're golden. But if you stumble and something happens or you run into an issue like happened here with Celsius, then, your Ponzi's up. So don't act like I'm defending him, but I was sent over some documents just the other night, right before, less than 24 hours before the arrest. It's in these documents, and they explain basically that, there's a claim now from Celsius on the FTX bankruptcy for $2 billion, because they're saying that's what FTX basically cost them with their predatory practices, counterfeiting the self token, the whole thing, shorting it to zero, manipulating prices, just the whole thing. So, ultimately, I do believe, though, that justice is going to get served here. I think he'll definitely get at least a heavy fine. But, will he actually end up doing prison time? I think that's questionable. I really think it's questionable. There's a lot of people out there that have a lot of money and they're able to fight in ways that most people can't fight. And so I want to see justice done. I think probably at least a couple years in prison should be on the table. But, will it happen? It's hard to say. So there's this new, $2 billion claim against FTX to get their user funds back. And that would actually solve the insolvency for Celsius if they were to win that. But once again, Celsius is now jumping in front of the retail customers from FTX. So, it's, damned if you do, damned if you don't, I guess. But I think that when it comes to Celsius, obviously it's dead. Either they may try to launch a new company, whatever. We'll see. I think there's too much carryover from the previous administration, even right now, still on Celsius. So that change of the guard really needs to happen, and people need to stop associating Alex Mashinsky with Celsius because he's not the CEO of Celsius anymore. Always be the founder, but he's definitely not the CEO. And, he's facing a lot of serious charges here. So we'll see what happens. My prediction is I think he'll get 2 years in prison. That's what I think. I think he'll get 2 years in prison. And I believe that he'll get some heavy fines. And, 2 years in prison isn't the end of the world for him. And, it definitely hurts credibility significantly. But outside of that, he's already rich. Who cares? Maybe just fade off into the sunset, possibly. And I think that the reason why I believe he is going to get some time is going to be because of the literal lying that he was doing to suppress what was actually happening. That's what I think's got to get him. I think that, saying everything's fine the week that everything's falling apart, that's manipulation. You should have just been honest and give everybody the rundown of what was actually happening. So if you would have done that, I think maybe things would be a lot different for him right now. There'd definitely be a lot of sympathy for him out there. But, at the end of the day, people don't really have sympathy for millionaires and billionaires. And, especially those who are involved in fraudulent schemes. And, like I said, minimum negligence. I think it's that corner cutting of the line about what actually was going on with Celsius and the pivotal moments that could have changed someone's financial future. He suppressed it. And I think that right there is what's going to end up getting him. So we'll see. I definitely wouldn't put this on the level of Sam Bankman-Fried, but it's definitely in the upper echelon of cases and importance. And 1 year after the bankruptcy, it's good to see things finally at least advancing and moving on. Alex believes that Celsius customers are still going to get 70% of their money back. So we'll see. All I know is possession is 9/10 of the law. That's all I got. Be blessed. No way out.